Welcome back to another episode of the Rope Drop Pod. This week I'm back with Kristen Reyes and we are chatting it all up about Walt Disney World resorts. We have toured a good handful of them, we have stayed at a good handful of them, and we're going to give our honest opinion about some resorts in various levels. So starting us off with Pop Century, and kind of looking over some of our notes that and kind of what we talked about before, is we have a lot of the same opinions about Pop Century. And I would say for the most part that both of us really enjoy this resort. Some of the pros is that it's right across from Art of Animation. If you just kind of want another place to eat, or if you want just, you can just go check out the other resort. You can just literally walk across the bridge and it's right over there, and you can check out their dining center. So I think it's kind of nice for guests that are staying either at Pop Century or Art of Animation. They just have another option for dining as well. I've stayed at Art of Animation and I've stayed at Pop Century, and I don't feel like I have a preference over one of the dining centers over one another. I don't know. Kristen, what do you think? Do you have a preference over either of them?
I really like the look of Art of Animation's kind of cafeteria quick service. But I do really like the food at Pop Century, mostly because they have like American classics, and they have this turkey dinner. It's basically like a Thanksgiving platter, and it's delicious. So usually like when I arrive and you haven't eaten much because you're flying and traveling and I'm starving, that's what I want to eat when I get there.
Yeah, I actually haven't had that. My most recent stay, I tried it was like an Asian bowl with rice and like vegetables, and it was like chicken, and it was pretty good. But that Thanksgiving meal type of what you're talking about sounds really good too. So yeah, dining centers for the most part, I would say great choices, and it's just nice that Pop Century is so close to Art of Animation to go be able to do that. Another huge pro of Pop Century is how close Hollywood Studios and Epcot are, and the transportation offered for those two parks. So when you stay at Pop Century, you have access to the Skyliner, and you can take the Skyliner over to the connection where you would get off, which is at Caribbean Beach, and then you'd get off and you'd connect to either Hollywood Studios or Epcot. And I don't feel like it takes that long, like 15 minutes. If there's a line, maybe 20 minutes, but it's usually a pretty quick on and off. So that transportation, Skyliner, huge pro at Pop Century, especially when you're coming back from the parks at night. I like this waiting for the buses, standing there in line, everybody's packing on the buses. It can be a lot sometimes, and the Skyliner is continuously moving, and that just keeps it pretty quick, and I like it even for the morning and at night. Oh, another mention about the Skyliner is that you can go to, like, the Riviera is on the Skyliner, and so if you wanted to take the Skyliner over to the Riviera and grab, like, they have a really good quick service, I can't remember what it's called, but you could grab lunch over there. I know that they have some pretty good pastries and things over there at their little cafe, but that is also a huge pro of staying at a resort that's on the Skyliner, because if you're not on the Skyliner, it would take some time to get to the Riviera or get to another resort on the Skyliner. Another huge pro, Pop Century, rooms were recently updated. So in 2017, this resort had a complete renovation, and some of the bigger things that they did was made a lot more storage in the rooms. I know that they have a Murphy bed now, like if you pull down the bed and there's a table that can, and then a bed that can pull down. I don't remember, was there a Murphy bed before the renovations?
No, it was regular. It was actually two doubles at that point, because back before they started renovating all the value resorts, they all had two double beds instead of two queens, which, for two grown-ups to share a double, if you've got a couple kids too, that's pretty tight. But fun fact, Alexis, do you remember that Pop Century was the first resort you and I ever stayed in together? That was like the first time we actually met in person.
Oh yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, we had a
gosh.
connecting room with some other agents, and that was right after the renovations were done. And I remember we were like, this is so much better. It seems so much bigger and cleaner. There's so much storage. They, got rid of the carpet and put the faux wood floor in. You could store things under the bed. I think those rooms were reimagined so well.
Yeah, I agree. Art of Animation, Like, it's really nice because it's a resort for larger families, because it's a suite style resort. But I just, like, in my opinion, I just think Art of Animation needs an upgrade a little bit. I also think I've stayed at both Art of Animation and Pop. Have you stayed at Art of Animation before?
Yes, because we had another agent retreat where we stayed in one of the mermaid rooms. And do you remember we were so far away? We felt like we had to walk miles to get anywhere. And
Yes.
there's like no preferred category there. So you can't, pay for that upgrade of having a preferred room and being close to everything. So I just felt like every time we had to go meet the group or leave the resort, we had to just walk for it seemed a day to get anywhere.
Yeah, that is definitely, so Art of Animation, you either pay for a room that can fit up to 6 people, or you pay for a standard room, but your standard room is on the end of the resort, and it is quite a bit of a walk to the main part of the resort. And I also just think that, especially with the theming, maybe this is just me, but I feel like there's not as much children at Pop. Like, I feel like at Art of Animation, I just know, like, I've stayed there a couple times, and I've just really noticed like how many kids are there. Maybe I was there during a busy time. That could definitely be it, because obviously there's kids at Pop too. But I don't know. I just felt more children-y, if that's a word for me.
I feel that way too. But I think, when I'm selling to clients, if they have little ones and it's their first trip and, they are looking for that value resort, I do suggest Art of Animation because the pool is awesome for the kiddos. You can hear, Finding Nemo under the water, and the pool is beautiful. It's huge. And I just think the property is really pretty. And I do think as you walk around Art of Animation, you're just kind of blasted with characters and it feels so Disney. So I think for people that really want that really hyped up Disney theming, it's really perfect. But boy, you're going to walk. So that's my caution to them when they want to do that one.
Yeah, that is so true. I've had some people that definitely are like, they really want that theming, and Art of Animation, I think, is the best place for that. Any other pros of Pop Century that you can think of?
No, I think we've covered all the pros. The only con for me about Pop is I don't love the pool. And anytime you have a value pool, you don't get a water slide and you don't get a splash pad and all of that like you do at the moderates and the deluxes. But for me, the pool there is it's just okay. It's a pool, but it doesn't have, much personality to it or anything.
Yeah, totally fair. Con for me is that since it is considered a value resort, I do feel like I think the rooms are a lot smaller than moderate rooms, and going up from that, they do fit 4 people, but I've stayed in a Pop room with 4 people, and especially 4 adults, and it can feel pretty packed, especially, with all of your luggage and all the things that you have. So even though it fits 4 people, you still are pretty packed in there because the rooms are just kind of smaller compared to the other ones. But another con for me is that, okay, maybe I have not paid much attention. When did they add this maid service? Was that after COVID? Like the maid cleaning value resorts are every other day? Do you know?
I think so, because do you remember when we first came back from COVID, they basically were saying or actually may have even been before COVID, I don't remember, but there was one point when you checked in and they would say you can either forego maid service and have this gift card for food, or you can have maid service every other day or whatever it was going to be. And I know one time when we stayed at Pop, you and I chose that gift card and we immediately regretted it because we really wished that they would have come in and taken our trash and made our beds and we could have come home to a nice cozy spot that looked good. So lesson learned there. But I think it was post-COVID that they kind of made that choice for value and you only get service, once every few days.
That's I feel like it's not an end all be all for me. Yeah, especially when I'm on vacation, I enjoy coming back to having my bed made and the trash gone and things picked up. It's just nice. And I think if I were spending a lot of time in Disney, I might consider upgrading, to at least a moderate. Definitely something to think about when you're picking up value resort at Disney.